welcome to another 5 Minutes with Sean on Columbus Day. I hope any of you who get the day off are enjoying it. Those of you in the car business, you are probably at work and hopefully busy. I want to talk to you today about a concept of who we surround ourselves with and what actually that means to you, right? So I look at it this way. One of the concepts that I've been sort of wrapping my head around as I look at my relationships, both business and personal, is the idea of equity and equality parts of the relationship, right? So equity, people who you feel like are in it with you, putting in the same effort you are to accomplish the same goals. Now, that can be as simple as couples who want to hang out all the time and both couples are always trying to schedule activities. Like that could be a basic instinct. The equality side is people who are with you and get what they get because they're within your circle or they know you or however that is. That relationship isn't earned. It's just sort of assumed, right? And so recently I've been looking around at my own life, and I caution anyone who does that, because if you do it and you truly do it, you'll be surprised by the results. And those of you, again, who've watched the show know, yes, I do go to therapy, and this has been a discussion that I've been having in therapy, which my therapy started off as a business idea, and I quickly realized that you can't just go to a therapist and talk about one specific sector of your life and truly get anything accomplished. So I broadened it out, and I started talking about the rest of my life and how it all kind of plays into one, because frankly, in my life now, my business and my life are pretty intertwined. I mean, the way that we run things and do things, it goes that way. So again, not here to talk to you about therapy, here to give you some context as to why I'm headed on the path that I am. So I want to go and I want to look at how dealerships are run from the inside out under this principle, right? So typically it's salespeople and then managers. And then you find out who is actually an equity partner in that relationship and who is the equality partner. Who is there because they're there, they get the bones, they get whatever it is that they believe is theirs because they know the manager or their friends or whatever, right? Because that's the status that we're talking about. The equity is a sales guy who says, look, dude, I'm gonna 110%, I'm gonna be here early, I'm gonna lot walk, I'm gonna go through my motions, I'm gonna understand exactly what it is that I need to do to get better every day. Now that's obviously an extreme example, but that's how I look at it. So when I get into this idea internally, I look at who I surround myself with, and my life is a good mix of both, and I think most people's really is. But that I have to have different expectations for those relationships. Now that I've identified them in my own eyes as equity or equality, and as my therapist Jessica points out, I need to stop being so black and white. So I'm working on developing gray areas, which is weird because in most times in my life, I'm totally cool with the gray area. But some reason when I go to analyze things, I start to get very specific. And so truthfully, it's a mix, right? It's not always that way. People aren't always an equity or equality. Sometimes people can swap out. I believe that about relationships, but I believe it's how you look at those relationships to help you have the expectations set reasonably to the results, right? So now that I have these buckets, I'm able to say, okay, if an equity partner does X, then I can respond this way because I'm identifying us as people who are in this together, and we will get this figured out. And if the other side happens where equality people are like, hey, Sean, this is how it should be because, like, for instance, a vendor, right? Hey, Sean, we work with your client and this is how it's going to be. And we know that because, you work with them. And so that's what they're going to expect. While most of that is true, you still need to bring your equity to the table. You can't just simply come in as an equality partner of mine because I referred you and think that's going to be enough for you to survive on your own. I'm a referral guy by nature. I love setting other people up, fixing problems. That's why I live for that shit. But just because I do it doesn't mean that I run your company and can co-sign for every activity that you have. I base things a lot in data of what I see. And you can do that in personal relationships too, I suppose. If you want to start breaking down data points in personal relationships, I probably would advise against that. That'd probably go down a rabbit hole you don't want to go down. But in general, I really want you to look at who you surround yourself with and how those people play into your long-term goals and what that actually provides to you. I normally don't go this interpersonal, if you will, on this show, but it's been something that's what I've been thinking about, and that's why we utilize this show for that. So I thank you for hearing me out. I hope you take a quick look around at the things you got going on and the people you have surrounding you and see how you might be able to improve those relationships by figuring out what kind of relationship you have and then adjusting your expectations accordingly. Okay? Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Next week, I already touched on it a little bit, but we're going to talk about salespeople. Recently, I have heard so much clatter about salespeople's laziness that I feel like it's time to sort of get some of this out there and hopefully have some salespeople start giving some feedback as to why the people above them feel this way. All right? Thank you guys so much. As always, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere you find podcasts with your ears, you will find us. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful week.